Okay, good morning, Las Vegas. Pleased to have joining us right now Kyle Busch. He drives the number 18 M&M's Toyota for Joe Gibbs Racing. Of course, he's a native of Las Vegas, Nevada. Kyle, always good to see you here in your hometown. And I know you've won here before at this racetrack. I know you would like to win here again, racing here tomorrow and so forth. So just talk about your outlook as you come to Las Vegas. And this track, I would think, has to take on a little special significance for you.
Yeah, this one takes on more special significance than many of the others, but there's still some others that have special significance as well too. And just coming back to Las Vegas, being the hometown, and just being back at this racetrack. Remember watching it being built and racing over at the short track just over the corner there, and having some fun, being able to hone in my skills, I guess, and somehow make it to this level. So it's been a journey, but yet it's fun to always come back here to race here. Won here in '09, and look forward to always being able to try to capture another win here if we can. And this time no different than any other. Just a few different rules this year that we're trying to tackle with yesterday's test session, and seeing what we could learn and get ready for this weekend.
Take some questions. We'll start here with Mike. Raise your hand there, Mike. We'll go to Holly, and we'll go to Reed, and then to Mark. Mike, Holly, Reed, and Mark.
Mike Hembry, USA Today. Kyle, considering the new format and not addressing your specific situation, but is a bad start to this season less bad than it would have been in past years?
I think as long as you can get a win, yeah, I don't think it really matters as much anymore. If you don't get a win, then you still want to have a strong start, because there still are going to be guys that make the chase without having wins, So I think, for instance, my start's not terrible. I think I'm 14th in points or something like that, so I'm kind of already in if you look at it that way. But, Kurt, for instance, he's had a horrible start. And, if he wins here this weekend, then, all he's got to do is get himself top 30 in points, and he's in, So it changes everything, the way the whole year and everybody's strategy is, and what all it's going to boil down to. And you never know what you see next weekend at Bristol. You could have guys racing each other hard for the win, one move the other out of the way just to get that win and lock themselves in.
We'll go to Holly, we'll go to Reed, Mark, and then we'll work our way over here. Go ahead.
Holly Kane, NASCAR.com. Hey, Kyle. Could you tell me a little bit about what kind of racing town is Las Vegas? Both you and your brother, Dylan, has come up. What is the reception you guys get when you come back here? And just kind of how do you put it in place in terms of, it being a racing town?
Yeah, it's not necessarily a racing town at all, really. When we were growing up, I remember, back in the early 90s and whatnot, watching my dad racing limited late models and late models, and then, we started racing dwarf cars and whatnot in '92. And so then we started moving around a little bit from Vegas to Pahrump to Mojave to Lake Havasu and stuff like that. And, so it wasn't necessarily that we ran in Las Vegas. My dad and brother didn't necessarily run in Las Vegas for points until about 95. Kurt started racing here for Street Stock Championship, But all in all, I remember car counts being so great back then in that day, and it was always fun to go to the racetrack. I remember I had my heroes growing up, not necessarily just my dad and my brother, but there were other guys I kind of always pulled for or liked to see do well and stuff like that, and it was kind of neat to see. But from what I understand now, I haven't been out here in a long time, but just like anywhere else in the United States, the car counts are starting to dwindle a little bit. It's tough to get a bunch of guys to get out there and get good racing going on. But, it's always cool to see talent come from anywhere. And Las Vegas has obviously built up three of those, Kurt, myself, and Dylan, but also Brendan as well. Brendan's a native, so he's running nationwide. He's been running a Cup Series before. So it's pretty cool to have four guys from this town, not necessarily being a racing town whatsoever.
And just as a real quick follow-up, do you feel more fan love here than you do at other places? Is there a real sense that you guys are the hometown guys to cheer for?
No. This is a vacation destination for a lot of race fans, so there are a lot of out-of-towners that do come here. So It's not 100,000 people from Las Vegas that'll be sitting in these grandstands. I bet you it's probably only 20 or 30. But you know, it's just a part of the deal. Plus, I'll tell you this is, you know, when I was coming up through the ranks, I won a lot and probably won too much, and didn't make very many friends. So I'm not so sure that I don't have very many pulling for me anyways, because I kicked their butt too much.
No brag, just fact, right?
That's right.
Go ahead, right here.
Reed Spencer with NASCAR Wire Service. Kyle, when with the new point system, when does the sense of urgency start to set in if you don't have a win? Is it now? Is it halfway through? And does it heighten the focus at all on places where you're really good, like Bristol or the spring race at Richmond, things like that?
Yeah, no, I don't think there's a sense of urgency at all, to be honest with you. In my book, you know, I've thought of it both ways. You know, if I get a win or multiple wins or whatever, great, that's cool. You know, if I don't get any wins, as long as I'm in the top 16 and there isn't 16 guys that have wins, then I'm fine, right? The time where the urgency sets in to get those wins is going to be in the chase in order to lock yourself to the next round. You know, I think what's the first round? It's Chicago, Loudon, then what? Dover
Dover would be the cutoff. Yeah.
So those three, that's when you start hunting wins really hard, and you know, trying to do whatever you can in order to get checker flags in the chase.
Let's go to Mark, and then we'll work over here to Lewis, this gentleman here, and Kenny. Go ahead, Mark.
Mark Anderson, Las Vegas Free Journal. Kyle, you've been so dominant in Nationwide. Can you just talk about the importance of that series too, and what it would mean to you to win that race here tomorrow?
Yeah, I think the Nationwide Series is a huge importance to our sport in general, but also to you know, the betterment of drivers and being able to raise them up and get them ready for the Cup Series. But also, you know, it's a series where I like to go and enjoy my time also racing on the racetrack. I mean, it's free to us all to compete as long as you're out there with a sponsor or a car and all the rest of the stuff. You get my point. But to the event, you know, it's you're right. I've been dominant in the Nationwide Series. I've won a ton of races in the Nationwide Series. I don't know what it is or why it is, but I haven't won here yet in the Nationwide. And you know, come close a couple times on the flatter surface, and then also come close on the first race here with Jeff Burton. But you know, there's been times where it's also just we've been stupid fast and stupid silly things have bit me. You know, just blown tires and parts breaking, me spinning out and wrecking. I mean, all kinds of different things. So you know, this place has got one on me for sure, Nationwide.
Let's go to Lewis. Go to this gentleman here, Kenny, and then I believe Marty had a question. Go ahead.
Yes, Louis Frank, Reuters and MotorWeek.com. Kyle, flip side of pressure of getting the win and locking yourself into the chase, does that allow your guys to go a little wild and trying some experiments till the chase starts? I mean, have you discussed strategy, what you'll do after you kind of lock in?
Yeah, I don't. We haven't really discussed any of that stuff. I think it'll kind of play out once you get to that point, I presume. I could be wrong, but you know, for us, I don't know that we've ever not tried to go in and win a race anyways, you know, throughout a season.
I meant experiment. I know you try.
Yeah. Sometimes we've had experimental things bite us and give us DNFs too, you know. So you always want to finish races. I think that's a big thing. But, you know, as far as all that goes, it's way too early for us. We haven't even discussed any of that stuff. So we're just working with what we got right now. And it's still early. We're experimenting every day because we don't necessarily know exactly what this rule package entails and what's going to make these cars go fast with no ride height rules and everything else. So as far as experimentation, I mean, that's going on every day.
Go to this gentleman right here. Raise your hand, and we'll go to Kenny and Marty, and that might be it. We'll see where we are. Go
Randy
ahead.
Howe, Local Channel 3. Kyle, we talked to Dylan Kwasniewski. He's on cloud 9 as a rookie. You know, he's used to winning a lot before he got to Nationwide. Same boat you were kind of in back then. He credits you guys as his idols growing up here. So what kind of advice, or is there some camaraderie you're trying to teach our young guy they're trying to bring up in the ranks a little bit out there?
I mean, the biggest thing is, you know, just trying to make a name for yourself while doing it smoothly. You know, you don't want to go out there and be stupid and wreck a ton of guys and, you know, make enemies right off the bat. You know, there's been a few that have done that, and yet it still lingers in their reputation to today. So You know, as far as Dylan goes, I've heard nothing but good things about him. He's come up a pretty good way, and he's won races, and I think about everything he's participated in, which is good. And he's won the K&N West Championship, the East Championship, and now he's got an opportunity in Nationwide. So I think he's got nothing but opportunity there, and you know, hopefully the talent precedes the name, and he can continue on.
Kenny Bruce.
Kenny Bruce, NASCAR.com. Kyle, now that with the new package, we're finally at a 1.5 mile track. How different do you expect the racing to be here on Sunday, or do you expect it to be different at all?
I don't expect it to really be a whole lot different at all, really. I think we've seen some changes in the cars over the last couple of years trying to help all of that, to help passing and everything. And air is at such a premium. I mean, we're running through the corners faster than ever. The faster you go, the more air you want, you know. So I don't know that's going to be that's going to make it any easier to pass guys, is going through the corner faster, you know. So the thing that keeps us all alive is the thing that makes auto racing the hardest thing to make competitive, in my opinion. You know, there are other forms of racing too that I've watched that don't have aerodynamics whatsoever, motocross, snowcross, I mean, all that kinds of stuff, where you see the leader get the lead and they check out and they're gone, you know, and people enjoy that stuff. They love watching that, and I think maybe it's just because the guys are jumping and catching air and whatever, and the thrill and excitement of all that is different than watching cars go around in circles 500 miles at a time, you know. So it's all in what you are, who you want to follow, what you want to follow, and what you find exciting about racing, you know. I mean, to me, when I was growing up watching racing, I wasn't just watching cars going in circles. I was studying what they were doing. I was studying what the drivers were doing, what they were saying, and what the crews were doing, and how the pit stops have evolved. I mean, from when I started in 92, 93 watching racing, the Sprint Cup stuff, to today, I mean, so many things have changed. It's amazing to watch what the sport does, and to see what it's going to be in 5 more years. I don't think anybody has any idea. So that's why I watched racing. You know, it wasn't necessarily just, like I said, it wasn't just to watch cars go in circles.
Marty, you have a question? Back in the back, and then we probably need to get Jimmy.
Marty Smith, ESPN. Good morning, Kyle. When you're just locked in, car, communications with Dave, the way you feel as a driver, what does the zone feel like?
When it becomes easy? Because it's never easy. I don't know. Essentially, sometimes when you're in that zone, man, you're honestly thinking, okay, well, what's going to go wrong? You know, I mean, you've seen so many things over the years that have cost you wins or what have you, and you're wondering, well, which one is it going to be now? But all in all, when you're feeling good about things, you know, when communication's good, when the car's good, when you're just out there leading laps, I mean, that's the best thing going for you. It's essentially about just trying not to screw up and trying to keep going and keep doing what you're doing. You know, you're feeling everything in the car, making sure that you know, you're taking care of your tires, you're trying to save as much fuel as you can. I mean, the most remembrance of that feeling last for me was probably California last year, you know, just out front leading a ton of laps, running by myself, you know, and leading the race. But what's tricky about that is depends on where you're at. You know, if you're running the bottom, okay, you got to hit your line to run the bottom. If you're running the top right next to the wall, you got to hit your line and not slip and get into the wall, you know. So a lot of things go on into to riding out front, but it's not always easy.
Kyle, thanks for coming in. Good luck this
Thank you.
weekend at Las Vegas.